Hi, I'm Erik from Nanigans, and this is the Playbook. Today's play is about the 3 stages of launching a global gaming campaign. Now, before you navigate away or press pause on this video, go back to doing something else. I know you have a gamer in your life, whether it's that person that almost bumped into you on the street this morning trying to catch Pikachu, or your significant other sitting next to you on the couch ignoring the most recent episode of Game of Thrones because they're playing Candy Crush, or your 75-year-old grandmother who has an iPad only to play Slotomania. You know there's a game somewhere in your life. As a matter of fact, there are millions of them around the world. This is a billion-dollar industry of players and payers that developers are trying to acquire. Now, on the subject of developers, not every developer comes up with a game that has meteoric growth like the 3 that I just mentioned. Most of them have to engage in a very well thought out paid acquisition campaign to achieve the levels of greatness that those 3 games have. So, the way they do that is through 3 stages of launching that campaign. Something that we talked about in a blog post and a case study we did just a couple of months ago. Now, the stage 1 is acquisition, attaining as many users as possible to spur organic growth and gain knowledge about the overall user base. The first way you do that is through research. Try to figure out what the effective CPMs are in your Tier 1 English-speaking and European mainland countries to estimate the CPIs for a global launch of a game. And then from there, don't bid that much higher than those CPIs. Why? Well, this is not a spray and pray game where you're doing broad targeting to try to fill the funnel as much as you can. You still have to do this in a cost-effective way with CPIs that are competitive but are not going to break the bank. And then when it comes to organic stuff, you're going to get a lot of free acquisition from within your paid acquisition. Somebody who is sitting next to somebody you paid to acquire on a train who's really interested in what that guy is doing, and he's going to download the app of their own accord. Free acquisition on the backs of your paid acquisition. And then from paid acquisition, you can rise your game up the App Store charts. The higher up the charts, the more opportunity you have for people who sort of sample the App Store to download the hottest games. This could also potentially lead to being featured at the top of the App Store apps themselves. Now that you've acquired all these users, you can use that knowledge towards phase 2, which is monetization. Using the knowledge acquired during the around targeting and user flow and employing an aggressive monetization strategy to find the best users. Well, what does that mean? Well, we've talked about lookalike audiences on other episodes of the Playbook, so targeting starts there. Lookalike audiences based on your monetizing users. From there, you can also expand into Tier 2 countries. Your upper echelon Tier 2 countries like the Nordics, so Finland, Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, South Korea, South Africa, etc., those are countries that have some monetizing users in there, and you can sort of expand the growth of your game into those monetizing countries during phase 2. You also want to figure out user flow. When do your users monetize? Is it within day 1 of acquisition, day 3 of acquisition, 7 days within acquisition, or even longer, maybe up to 14 or 21 days? You can't wait forever to make these sort of bidding and budgeting decisions. So you have to set a benchmark where you can estimate that by day 7, this person's going to hit a certain yield number, and from there they could be at 100%, 110%, or 120% within 180 to 365 days. Figure out what that number is, and then bid based on those yield values to try to find the best, most monetizing users. Now we get into stage 3, which is retargeting, keeping your users engaged and bringing lapsed users back into the funnel, keeping them spending. One of the dirty little secrets about online gaming is that you did not acquire a brand new gamer who's never downloaded a game before. Nope, it's not true. You stole that gamer from one of your competitors, and right now, your competitors are trying to steal your users from you. You've got to keep your users engaged. So what we do is use custom lists of payers and players characterized by user quality. You've got your upper echelon whales, you've got your second tier payers, you've got your third tier payers, and then you've got people who have just played but may never have paid before. Using those custom lists, you build audiences and you target them differently, bidding and budgeting differently in order to bring them back in. Promotions and special events are also super important. Never stop developing this game. Give users a reason to return. So new levels, new characters, new stages for growth, and new places to monetize, bringing them back in to having them do something once they get there. And remember that, upper echelon set of users, your whales that I was talking about? Here's my Vegas analogy. If you've ever been to a casino, you've seen the high roller rollers, the ballers, those guys that are dominating the tables or dominating the roulette wheel, guess what? They're not paying for their hotel room. They're not paying for dinner. They're getting all that stuff comped because the casino wants them to stay there and continue spending money within their casino. Global gaming is the same way. If you've got an upper echelon set of users, you should be engaging with them and building levels, building deep links, bringing them back into the game that are specifically for those high monetizing users, keeping them there and keeping them from being poached by another company. Using these 3 stages of launching a global gaming campaign, acquisition, monetization, and retargeting, the biggest and best companies have made their games into household names. Of course, it also takes a really good game to get there. Speaking of, apparently there's a Charmander in the middle of Boston Common that I have to go get. So, the buzzer, time's up, and not a moment too soon. If you want a question answered on a future episode of The Playbook, well, you know this. Send us an email, theplaybook@nanigans.com. I'm Erik Manser. Gotta catch 'em all.